Welcome to SYSPRO Tips from Positive Vision. Today we are going to show you how you can see an audit history of your inventory stock codes. This process is going to tell you who made a change to your stock codes, when, and what they changed by running an amendment journal. Depending upon your settings in SYSPRO, it can also tell you about each item when it is added to inventory. The first step in being able to access the amendment journal is to make sure that SYSPRO is set up to record the audit history. We're going to do that by going to Setup and under Setup Options. Now, a quick way to locate the information on the settings for the amendment journal is to utilize the quick search in the Setup Options pane. You can see it over here on the right side. So I'm going to go up here and type Amendment. And you can see I get a list. What I'm interested right now is in the Inventory Amendment Journal. So I'm going to click on this link, which is going to take me there. There are three options available for amendment journals. And this is, when it says amendment journals required, it's not requiring you. It's telling the system that the system is required to provide those amendment journals. So our choices are yes, no, or yes with additions. If we select yes, it will give us information about changes and deletions that are made to the items. However, when a new item is added, it will not record any information. In order to get that, I must choose yes with additions, which will give me anything that is added, changed, or deleted. Once you've set this to the correct setting, you're going to go ahead and hit Save and Exit. Because I haven't actually changed anything, I don't have an option to save and exit. When you do this process, however, it will prompt you to log out of SYSPRO and back in to have those settings take place. If items are added or changed while the amendment settings in SYSPRO are set to no, those changes would not be reported. The same thing if you've chosen yes instead of yes with additions. Until you switch to yes with additions, you would not see any new items that are added. Next, we're going to create a stock code to see it being added in the SYSPRO Amendment Journal. I've created some favorites to make it easy to get to these items. However, I'm also going to walk through the programs so that you can see how to get there normally. So we're going to go to Inventory, Setup, and down to Stock Codes. And I'm going to put in a new stock code so that we can see it being added in the amendment journal. A010. And this is going to be our toddler bike. And I have to pick a class. And I'm going to click Save. Our system's set up automatically to prompt for warehouses, so we will add one. So we've now added that bike. I just realized that I probably want to change the description. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tab back in so that we can create some changes that are going to show up in that amendment journal also. So I'm going to change the description. I'm also going to change the unit. Expand these out. So the alternate unit, instead of each, we're going to say pallet. And there will be 10 on a pallet. One pallet is 10 eaches. I'm going to save the item. So now we've made some changes, and I've suddenly realized that maybe I didn't actually need that stock code. It's already in the system somewhere else. So again, I'm going to tab back in, and because we have no history and no transactions against this item, we are able to do a delete. So I'm going to choose to delete the stock code. And I'm going to close the screen. Now we're going to go and look at that inventory amendment journal. To navigate to it so that you can add it to your favorites, we're going to go to Administration and Amendment Journals. And here's the Inventory Amendment Journal. You can drag and drop that up into your favorites. What's going to come up on screen is going to be a prompt that's going to ask us to choose how we want to run that amendment journal. So we've got several options on screen. Reprint is if we're wanting to reprint something that we've previously printed. Otherwise, when this is unchecked, it only shows us new things that we haven't looked at before. We can choose to print additions only, which means anything that's new that's been added to the system would fall under print additions. It's going to give us all of the details behind that item that was added. It won't include stuff that has to do with, say, a warehouse, or if I've set it up in multiple warehouses, that data doesn't get captured. But anything that is in your stock code maintenance should be coming up on that additions. If there's something in particular that you want to be able to audit, please take a moment and test it to make sure that you are actually getting it captured during the inventory amendment journal process, because not every single thing is there. We can look at the additions in summary, which is just going to give us a simple list of what items have been added. We can print only the changes. We can print deletions, or we can do the additions, changes, and deletions all at the same time. It's going to be one report strung after another. And then the last option is the option to delete the journal file after you run the report. What this does is anything that it has recorded so far gets deleted, so if I try to reprint it later, I cannot. If you're going to be using the inventory amendment journal a lot, I would suggest not deleting that journal file unless you are sure that that's what you really want to do. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to hit the output options. We have options for emailing, exporting, printing, previewing. We can also save the report or archive the report. Right now I'm just going to preview it so that way you can take a look at it on screen. And I've chosen to give myself the additions, the changes, and the deletions. So I'm going to click Process. What it's going to do is it's going to run through and gather all that data together and spit it out in 3 different reports that are going to be one after another on screen. So you can just scroll through page by page to see what you need. Even though I'm previewing it, I can also print it too, or export it. So the first report is the Inventory Amendment Journal report of the additions. I'm going to zoom in a little so it's easier to read. You can see it tells you the stock code, the date, the descriptions, and the operator that put them in. And this is all of the data that was entered when I set that item up. We're still on the Inventory Amendment Journal Report Edition. Now we're looking at the last bit. You can see it finishes up. And we move on to the updates. So the updates are neat in that we have the date, the column, what it was before, and what it was after. So when I'm changing things, it actually keeps track of it. So my toddler bike changed to toddler bike boy or girl. My alternate unit changed from each to PAL. My conversion factor changed from 1 to 10. Now I'm going to scroll forward again. Here's a list of the deletions. So it tells me what I deleted at a high level. I have a stock code and a description. I know the date and who it was that did the deletion. However, it doesn't give me all of those details that existed when it was set up. So that's part of why most of the time I would recommend that you would set it up to be yes with additions. So you can track all that information and see if there was important stuff, what you need, and if you need to put it back in, you can. Let us know if you have any questions or tips that you would like to see. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed today's SYSPRO tips.